see them every day, don't you? Pecking at crumbs on the sidewalk, fluttering away from passing cars. We call them winged rats, a nuisance, a fixture of city life we'd rather ignore. But what if I told you that beneath those seemingly ordinary feathers lies one of history's greatest and most tragic ironies? These birds, the ones we shoo away without a second thought, are the direct descendants of heroes. They are the living relics of the world's first global communication network, a technology that once carried the fate of empires on its wings. This is the story of how humanity's greatest ally became its most overlooked outcast. Our story begins long before the internet, before satellites, even before the telegraph. For thousands of years, if you needed to send an urgent message across a vast distance with speed and reliability, you didn't invent a machine, you turned to the sky. The partnership between humans and pigeons dates back at least 3,200 years. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh Ramses III used them to deliver vital news about the Nile floods, the lifeblood of his civilization. From there, their use exploded across the globe. In ancient Greece, they announced the winners of the Olympic Games, carrying news of victory faster than any human runner. The mighty Roman Empire used them to coordinate its legions across Europe. Even further east, along the legendary Silk Road, pigeons were the backbone of communication for the Han Dynasty in China, and later, for Genghis Khan's sprawling Mongol Empire. They were a form of organic technology, faster than any messenger on horseback and nearly impossible to intercept. They were the original airmail, connecting the ancient world in ways that seem almost magical today. Their instinct to return home wasn't just a curiosity, it was a strategic advantage that shaped history. But the pigeons' most defining moment, their finest hour, arrived in the hellscape of the First World War. In the mud-filled trenches of the Western Front, modern technology was failing. Artillery fire constantly severed telegraph lines, and early radio was unreliable, easily jammed or intercepted by the enemy. In this brutal stalemate, the humble homing pigeon became an indispensable lifeline. They flew through a storm of bullets, shrapnel, and poisonous mustard gas to deliver messages with an astonishing 95% success rate. Think about that. For every 20 birds sent out into the chaos of battle, 19 made it back. They carried messages that saved entire battalions from being called in crucial artillery strikes and delivered the coordinates of wounded soldiers. One famous pigeon, named Cherami, was shot through the chest and lost a leg, but still managed to deliver a message that saved the lives of nearly 200 American soldiers from the L'Hospitalia. She was awarded the French Croix de Guerre for her bravery. This wasn't a fluke. In World War II, despite advances in radio technology, pigeons were more important than ever. Britain mobilized a force of over 250,000 birds in the National Pigeon Service. They were silent, untraceable by enemy listening posts, and could be dropped by parachute from bombers deep behind enemy lines. They carried intelligence from spies, distress signals from downed air crews, and reports from naval vessels. The lives of thousands hinged on the unerring navigational instinct of these feathered commandos. 32 pigeons were awarded the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, for their service. They weren't just birds, they were soldiers. So, how did they do it? What makes a pigeon a biological supercomputer capable of navigating hundreds of miles over unfamiliar territory? For a long time, it was a mystery, but scientists are now unlocking their secrets. It turns out they have a sophisticated, multi-layered navigation system that puts our early GPS to shame. First, they have an internal compass. Tiny magnetic particles in their beaks and special cells in their eyes allow them to literally see and feel the Earth's magnetic field, giving them a constant sense of north and south. Second, they use the sun. Like ancient sailors, they use the position of the sun in the sky, combined with a precise internal clock, to calculate their location. But what happens on a cloudy day? This is where it gets truly amazing. Pigeons also create detailed visual maps in their minds, memorizing landmarks like rivers, coastlines, and even human-made structures like highways and railway lines. But perhaps the most mind-blowing theory is that they can hear the world in a way we can't even imagine. They can detect infrasound ultra-low frequency sound waves that are generated by everything from ocean waves crashing on distant shores to winds blowing over mountain ranges. These sounds travel for hundreds of miles and create a unique acoustic map of the landscape. By listening to the hum of the earth itself, a sound far too low for human ears, they can literally hear their way home. They are nature's perfect navigators, a marvel of biological engineering. And then came the betrayal. The very quality that made them so revolutionary, their speed, was eventually eclipsed by human invention. In the mid-19th century, Samuel Morse perfected the electric telegraph. Suddenly, messages could travel at the speed of light. Wings simply couldn't compete. The telegraph was followed by the telephone, then radio, and finally, the internet. With each new invention, the pigeons' role in society diminished. Their once vital job became obsolete. The champions were retired. Their services were no longer required. And this is where the story turns from heroic to tragic. What happened to these millions of highly bred, intelligent birds? They were released, abandoned, and left to fend for themselves. The vast flocks of pigeons you see in cities all over the world today are the direct descendants of those war heroes and imperial messengers. The irony is crushing. They thrive in our cities because our tall buildings mimic the rocky cliffs of their ancestral homes in the Mediterranean. Our constant food waste provides an endless buffet. They adapted to the world we built, a world that no longer had a place for them. And our perception shifted completely. We stopped seeing them as heroes and started seeing them as pests. We complain about their droppings, we worry about disease, and we call them disgusting names. We have completely forgotten that our ancestors once looked to those same wings with hope, praying they would carry messages of life and death. It's a story of our own technological ruthlessness. We used them, we celebrated them, and when we invented something better, we discarded them without a second thought and then blamed them for their survival. The pigeons roosting on our statues and monuments aren't invaders. They are a living, breathing monument to a technology we created, perfected, and then abandoned. They are a reminder of a time when the fate of nations rested not on silicon chips, but on a heartbeat and a pair of wings. So the next time you walk through a city square and see a flock of pigeons, take a moment. You're not just looking at a common bird. You are looking at the great-great-grandchildren of warriors, the heirs of a forgotten dynasty. They did not fail us. We simply moved on and forgot to say thank you. Thanks for watching! If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories. See you next time.